There is no movie out there that would make you hate the song PIMP by 50 Cent more than the movie Anatomy of a Fall. Anatomy of a Fall is a 2023 French legal drama directed by Justin Trite from a screenplay she co-wrote with Arthur Harari. It stars Sandra Hüller as a writer trying to prove her innocence in her husband's death. Sandra Hüller, whose notable work is The Zone of Interest, which garnered 2 Oscars in 2024. Anatomy of a Fall was inspired by the case of Amanda Knox, a young American woman who was accused of murdering her roommate Meredith Kershaw in Italy in 2007.
There's breaking news out of Perugia, Italy.
Amanda and Raffaele guilty of the murder of 21-year-old Meredith Kercher.
A 22-year-old American student, Amanda Knox, was found guilty in Italy of murdering her British roommate.
Good evening. Tonight, Amanda Knox is once again a convicted killer.
Amanda Knox's verdict has just been read guilty.
Though Anatomy of a Fall doesn't directly replicate the events of Amanda Knox's case, it asks the same question: what it means to be a foreigner on trial in a country that is not your own, as you are judged on how you express yourself and you're not speaking your native tongue, and there's a lot of filter between you and your reality. Anatomy of a Fall is a movie where the perceived murder is not the point, and it didn't matter if his wife did it or not. All that matters is what it looks like and how we can subtract the wife away from the alleged murder of her husband to secure a win. We are understatedly invited to be jurors to this case.
Stop. I did not kill him.
That's not the point.
For the first few minutes of Anatomy of a Fall, you are loudly inundated with the instrumental sounds of 50 Cent's PIMP song, much to a level of frustration, so much so an elderly couple in the cinema I was in thought this was the wrong movie and was about to leave. However, this song was played loudly to make you feel frustrated and uncomfortable to perhaps consider leaving the cinema too, or taking some form of action, because that's how Sandra was feeling about the song in that exact moment. And with that said, here is the plot followed by the pros and cons and my 2 cents rating. A woman is suspected of murder after her husband fell to his death from the 3rd floor of their home, and their half-blind son faces a moral dilemma as the main witness, whilst her lawyer tried to prove her innocence as the couple had an argument prior to the day of his fall. Now for the pros and cons of this film, starting with cons. Con number 1. Now, if you thought this movie was going to be anything other than a legal drama in a courtroom setting, you would be thoroughly disappointed. It's about 80% courtroom drama. Con number 2. It's brilliant, but it is very slow. If you have ADHD, you would have stopped watching this a week ago. Con number 3. Brace yourself for extremely loud instrumental play of 50 Cent's PIMP song. And now for the pros. Pro number 1. On set, Sandra Hüller repeatedly asked the director whether her character was a guilty one or not, but the director refused to answer the question and just told her to play the character as if she believed the character was innocent, whilst not answering the question at all, and we would never know if the character was indeed innocent.
Justine, I do have to ask you, are you ready for the rest of your career to have people approaching you on the street and saying, okay, just tell me, did she do it? Like, are you ready to answer that question over and over and over again?
I understand perfectly why people want to know, but, you know, maybe in 10 years I will say the truth.
Pro number 2. This film was supposed to include a sex scene between Sandra and her lawyer, Vincent, but the scene was scrapped thanks to the producer, who found the scene too 80s. Hüller agreed with the decision and said, why do people always have to prove they love each other by going to bed with each other? It's so dull. This little information is important because you get a sense of chemistry or sexual tension between Sandra and her lawyer. However, the scene was shot, but it did not make the final cut. Pro number 3. Sandra Hüller learned to speak French for Anatomy of a Fall. Although the character speaks mostly English in this film, Sandra wanted her character to be able to understand what she was saying in French. Now, Sandra Hüller learned French in about 3 to 4 months for this film. Pro number 4. In case you didn't notice, this film is heavily carried by Sandra Hüller, who did the most arduous dialogue scenes I have ever seen in a movie, aside from Cate Blanchett in Tar.
You're incapable of facing your ambitions and you resent me for it, but I'm not the one who put you where you are. I've nothing to do with it.
Pro number 5. Even though this movie is a legal drama, it's quite impressive how it manages to keep you interested in the runtime of 152 minutes. But that's if you want to know the outcome of the case. Pro number 6. This film has a budget of $6.7 million US and is a box office smash for making a return of $33.7 million. It's a true testament to excellent storytelling. Pro number 7. And then there's the performance of the dog named Messi, which I thought was an animatronics. However, it was a real dog trained to fall sick on cue. I didn't even know dogs could be that intelligent. Well, at least this one specific dog is.
Laura revealed Messi went through around 7 auditions before landing the role of Snoop. During our interview, she demonstrated how she trained Messi for his big scene.
L'épaule.
Take the shoulder.
And after you put the dog. Au tout début.
I'm gonna go ahead and rate this movie an 8 out of 10 because it had such an interesting premise and it was masterfully executed with a low budget. Even though I strongly recommend this film, I can only recommend it to a handful of people because Anatomy of a Fall requires all your attention. It's not a casual watch, so if you have a low attention span, this will bore you to death. Also, if you're very young, this is not a movie for you because God knows as soon as I got my first gray hair, then these types of movies started to interest me. And that's my 2 cents. Thank you very much for sticking around all the way to the end. And if this video brought you any value whatsoever, please consider liking and subscribing. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.